Yeah, we were briefed. We talked through the different proposals that there are. We'll vote on them tomorrow. I think it's an interesting one, and I think I can see value to both sides of the coin there, no pun intended. But I think it's something that the competition committee worked really hard to understand the results of either one of those proposals should they pass. So I think for our fans, more football is typically better. No, I don't think there was debate, but I think the competition committee was clear that they spent a lot of time talking through the advantages and disadvantages of both proposals and keeping the rules as they are. Yeah, Mary Kay, haven't been able to talk to a lot of guys just because we're not together yet, but certainly text messages and making sure that they have his contact information and they can start to reach out to each other. But as you can imagine, our guys are very welcoming. Yeah, we really value that backup quarterback position. I certainly do. I know Andrew does. It's an important role. That person has to be ready to get in there and win you a ball game at a moment's notice. So having a guy like Jacoby who's been through it, who's started a lot of football games, really a smart young man, and just getting to know him when we brought him in and throughout the process, I think we got a really good one there. Yeah, I texted Coach McDermott right when that trade was official. I think you're getting a pros pro. Case has been through a ton of different battles. He's been the starter. He's been the backup. He's fought for everything he's gotten. I'm really rooting for him up there in Buffalo. Yeah, very excited to add Amari. I think the first thing you notice when you meet Amari is just how big he is and how imposing he can be. And you see that in his play. He's physical with the ball in his hands. He can snap open versus man coverage. He's been a productive player in his career. He's made a lot of plays, someone that we're going to be counting on. Really excited to get to work with him. Yeah, and I think whatever you denote those guys, we don't really spend too much time worrying about that, but he's definitely somebody that we can count on in those big moments, third down, red zone, when you need somebody to come up with a play. Yeah, I think we'll see. I think everybody understands the situation, and we're hoping that there's closure to it at some point. Honestly, that's something that Andrew could probably answer better than I could. I understand that there's several dynamics at play there, but I don't have much to add on that, Charles. I can't hear you. Yeah, again, I think it's a unique situation. Got to see how it plays out. I know all of us you'd love an answer yesterday, but that's not the reality of it. Yeah, it's a good question, Zach, and it's something that we've already started looking at and working as a staff on. I think I mentioned it the other day. There's probably more similarities than differences. It's just a matter maybe of frequency and volume, if you will. So there's things that Deshaun has done in his career that we have done in the last couple of years that he'll be very comfortable with. There's a few other things that maybe we haven't featured that we want to do more of now that Deshaun is our quarterback and really match what we're doing to his skill set. I think it remains to be seen, Nate. I do think that's our job as coaches year in and year out. as your roster evolves, you better evolve. If you have different running backs, different wide receivers, so certainly when you're talking about the quarterback position, you better do what that player does best, and that's what we want to do ultimately. Had a lot of really good conversations with Deshaun from a football perspective with the coaches. I think we have a good plan moving forward, but that'll be an evolution. I mean that'll be an evolution over the weeks, months. It's funny. You could call it whatever you want. Ultimately, we want to run the 2022 Cleveland Browns offense, and whatever elements that has in it, Nate. We hope that we have enough in our offense where we can pivot week to week to certain elements. But to say that we're going to wholesale change everything, we'll see. Yeah, a portion of our visit there was on football, and really wanted to get a feel for the person, obviously, in that meeting. But in terms of when we talked football, it was really showing him who was on our roster, who we have, certain schematics that we've featured previously, and then really going through the tape with what he had done and showing him some of the things that he's done that we're looking to implement as well. Yeah, I do expect Deshaun to be there April 19th with everybody else. And, Mary Kay, I haven't had an off season yet with the players. Year one was COVID, year two was, as we know, was a little bit different. So looking forward to having a normal off season. Yes, he will be here, and it's a voluntary program, as we all know. I think there's great value in being around your teammates and around your coaches in Berea, and Deshaun will be a part of that. I have not. Yeah, it's a good question, Kevin. It's something we've spoken about. Until we know that final answer, it's really speaking in hypotheticals right now. But to your point, we have to be ready, whatever decision is made, potentially to go with Jacoby for a portion of it, or not. So it's one of the things we'll wait to see what the league has, and we'll plan accordingly when it comes to practice and those type of things. Well, I think we got to get everybody ready to play. I will say this, backup quarterbacks, they play in a game sometimes with 0 reps in a week, so that's the life of a backup quarterback, and our guys embrace that and understand that, so we'll work through it as we figure it out. Yeah, I think it was just we wanted to add a good player at that backup quarterback position. I don't think it was related to that. You can never have enough, Jason. Well, first of all, I think Austin Hooper's a good football player. I think Tennessee got a good player. For us, I think that's really what comes down to get through the free agency, get through the draft, see what we have on our roster, and then plan accordingly. So if we don't add another tight end, so to speak, we're going to pivot more to 12 personnel, 11 personnel, just based on who we have. One more time. Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think Andrew and his staff are working hard to make sure that we're constantly upgrading the roster at all those positions. Those are important, and I think we'll work through it here through the rest of free agency, through the draft. Yeah, I think, Mary Kay, we got to let the process play out for all those players. As I've mentioned before, and you guys know, I love Jarvis the person, I love Jarvis the player, but we got to let all of that play out. Yes. Yeah, I think we're in communication with everybody, and I mean that. I think with so many of these free agents, you're monitoring situations, you're seeing where they are, what teams they're talking to. So that's where Andrew and his staff are constantly talking to everybody every day and getting updates. And sometimes it goes slower than maybe we all would like, but that's free agency. So we'll just continue to monitor it and see how it all plays out. I'd say for all players, Mary Kay, we're always going to monitor all those situations. Specifically to Odell, I can't comment on that. I would tell you, I really like Odell. Worked hard for us, happy for him, and we'll see how it all plays out. Yeah, I think pretty quickly, Ben. I think with Kwesi, you see a guy that has a growth mindset, that really understands ball, understands all the things that go with the business of football, got along so well with everybody in the building. And I know that's a small thing, but I could tell you my office, Kwesi was right down from me. Bill Callahan is right next to my office, and I'd see Kwesi and Bill talking all the time. And Bill's seen so much football, and for those two to connect and talk about maybe doing something a little bit better, I think was really indicative both of Bill and of Kwesi in terms of their growth mindset.